What is up? We are your Colorado real estate family, and we've been getting this question quite a bit from so many of you who are reaching out whether or not you should wait to buy a home in Colorado.
All right, let's find out. If you're new to our channel, Chelsea and Pete here, and if you're interested in moving to Colorado, Denver, or any of the surrounding cities, we're the people that you need to know. So do yourself a favor, hit the subscribe button down below. We put out 2 videos a week. Along those lines,
licensed real estate agent right here, helping out with all your real estate needs. If you are looking at purchasing real estate in the state of Colorado, give us a call or text on that phone number right below, right there. All right, let's go ahead and get started in this video. Although we have been getting this question quite a bit, it's actually not new. I get asked this question all the time. I've been getting asked this question probably the last 5 years. Hey, I'm waiting for the market to crash. I'm gonna wait for it all to happen. I'm gonna get my house for cheap.
I say market for a nickel. How about 2 cents? Okay.
And then it keeps on going and going and going, double digits every single year. So we are constantly asked this question. Of course, now there are so many different variables with interest rates going up the way they are, the economy doing what it's doing. And so everyone is still asking that question. Well, hold on. Should I wait a couple years? Should I buy now? Should I wait till 2024 to see if interest rates go down? Should I see if these housing prices go down? So we're constantly asked this all the time.
Yeah, I mean, even on our own side, guys, we question it too, right? We're investors. We buy out of state, and we have been in that spot where, like, gosh, interest rates are rising a little bit. Like, should we wait? There have been times, even recently, like, we're like, you know what? No, we're going for it. We purchase. We just had another, our son wrestles. Yep. And we were talking to one of the dads, and he was like, oh gosh, I've been looking to buy in Florida, and I really wish I would have bought. And, I was watching the market, and he's just like, he's all about it. He's in it. He's doing all the research, all the things, all the right things. And he's like, gosh, I should have bought, like, now, the same houses that I was looking at, say, like 6 months ago to a year ago, like, they have gone, up 400,000, 500,000, where we were able to get in and squeeze in there for a really good cost. Now, that is something that we've seen time and time and time again. And a lot of times we're often telling you guys, like, hey, you could absolutely wait. We'll try to keep you up to date. But often you'll come back saying, you know what, like, I can't really wait anymore. And now I'm paying more than I would have had I just done it the first time I spoke with you guys. And so that's kind of that hard battle of just not really knowing what it's going to look like.
Well, we can't put just a black and white answer to this because it's all situational. If you're moving to the state of Colorado because of a job, of course, it's like, all right, cool, should I buy real estate and see what happens? Should I wait a year and then see if I could get something for cheaper? Should I rent? And so it's all situational. Some of you might have to buy a house, and so it's something that you have to do. A rental is just not going to be an option for you. So it's all situational. What we're going to do is we're going to break in the numbers this first portion of the video, and then towards the end, I'm going to kind of give you some pros and cons as to buying now as compared to buying earlier on this year, and maybe even something like later on in early 2023, mid 2023.
Okay, so let's talk about the obvious. Interest rates, right? Yep. I mean, Fannie Mae had just quoted, the interest rates have been exceeding 6% for the first time since 2008. So clearly that's putting a lot of fear in people's minds as to, how is that going to affect my payment, my buying power, things like that. A lot of other experts have been looking all across the board, trying to get some really good data for you guys, and it's pretty consistent. So we are expecting, or experts, not we, experts are projecting that by the end of 2023 that we're going to start seeing interest rates on average, like for a 30-year, be at 8.5%, whereas a 15 being kind of around 7.7%. So they are still projecting these going up. So what does that mean for our market?
I like how you put those quotes for an expert. I feel like I'm an expert in real estate.
I know, but I didn't want like people, we want to make sure.
When it comes to interest rates, we're not lenders.
We're not lenders.
So when it comes to purchasing real estate, we're there for you. But when it comes to interest rates, we're like,
And I don't have a crystal ball, although I wish I did. And we want to make sure that we give you our opinion, what we're seeing in the field and with our clients every single day, but also kind of like, people are diving into these and looking at trends and things like that. So putting those two things together and showing you that they match, I think is really important.
I think the biggest reason the housing market was driven the way it was is because interest rates were so low. You could get some in the high 2s and low 3s, and even high 3s, low 4s. Everyone's like, hey, this is still a great rate, right? And so that's why you had 20 buyers to every single house. Now these interest rates are changing, and we're going to break into that a little bit later in this video, why I think it might be a good thing when you're looking at purchasing a house.
All right, so the second big topic, right, is this housing bubble, okay?
And you get it all the time. You're like, oh, I'm waiting for the bubble to burst.
Yeah, that's where the big kind of controversy comes. Like, you can be in one room at a party, and these people are like, oh, the market's about to crash. And these guys are like, well, I don't know. Like, my home value is still going up. And you could be talking about the same market, and they'll have 10 different opinions. So we're going to talk to you a little bit about some trends, though, in the market value. Peter's going to break it down by some numbers.
First, let's kind of talk about this. What was the great housing or the great recession or whatever caused by? The biggest thing was subprime mortgages. And so one thing that we saw was there was a ton of foreclosures, right? And you saw that gradually go up. If you kind of go into, we'll show an illustration so you guys can see. But it was gradually going up from 2000 all the way up. And in 2007, there was I think it was 8,000 to 9,000 foreclosures in the year of 2007. Now, in the graph, if you see, it slowly, gradually started to go down. And so 2021 was actually the lowest point. 2022 was the first year that we saw an uptick in foreclosures, and it was still 394 foreclosures so far in 2022, which is nowhere near the 8,000 to 9,000 that we had in 2007. If there is a bubble that's starting, or if we're on that precipice of a bubble, it's not going to happen for the next 10 years if it trends any way that it did back in the early 2000s.
Yeah, because as you can see, we're not even close to the beginning of when that bubble started, right?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
We're not even quite to the point of when they started trending up necessarily, except for the very first uptick.
Yeah. And so it's everyone always acts like 2023 is just going to be Armageddon, where the housing market's going to crash.
Not everybody on the grass.
Here's what I'm going to kind of say, and we're going to break back into interest rates a little bit, is that I see what this interest rate, the higher interest rates have done is leveled the market out a little bit. Mm-hmm. And if anything, we're just going to see the market, uptick slightly, not as much as we were before. Before it was going like this. So it might slightly do that, or maybe just bring it down just a tiny little bit, because the numbers just really aren't showing that we are going to be in a crash. If anything, it's just removing a ton of buyers who don't want to pay those high interest rates or can't completely remove them from the market. That's kind of what we're seeing in regards to that.
So that actually is going to be good for some of our buyers, right? So with less competition, we're going to see some of those first-time home buyers or people who are able to just put down the FHA of the 3.5% or say a conventional 5% down. They're going to have a little bit more of a chance because the competition has decreased.
Yeah, it's just before, if you were first-time home buyer with your minimal down payment, or if you had a contingency, sellers just looked at you and you're like, nah, I don't think so, because I have 20 other offers that are primo over here, sometimes cash. And so now that you don't have that competition, our first-time home buyers are like, all right, cool, now I don't have to sit here and go all this money over on the list price. They'll accept my offer just because they actually have an offer and there's not all this competition. The third thing that we're going to be covering is home prices, because there's this perception right now that houses are selling for less than they did a year ago. So let's go ahead and talk about that. Denver, let's just talk about, so we'll all break it down into single family and then also multifamily. So Denver, as of September of 2022, the median sales price was $640,000 on your single family home, and that's up 8.4% from 2021.
Now, when you're looking at our multifamily, it's going to be a median sales price of $450,000, and that's up about 4%. So
it's just showing, even though it's not the double digits that we've been experiencing these last few years, it is still going up. So we haven't seen any negative gains yet. Of course, if we go back 3 months, it is showing negative. Right. But only time will tell. That's all we could tell you guys right now. This is the first time the market's seen the interest rates at these levels, like Chelsea had mentioned, since 2008. So we just got to kind of see what happens this springtime, see if it blows up the same way that it did in all the prior years.
Yeah, and I think one of the really big things to think about too is we do have ups and downs through months. That's not uncommon. Mm-hmm. People who sit there and oh, we had a negative. Okay, well, let's go a little longer than that. In order to do a real trend, you have to look back a lot longer than just 3 months. We're going to have ups, we're going to have downs. Mm-hmm. Is it trending over time, still upward? And the answer is yes.
Well, yeah, and the biggest thing is just looking year over year, right? Yeah. Like I said, if it's still up year over year, we're going to have to see January, February, March, when we had those really hot months earlier in 2022. We're going to have to see if that number goes down. I have a feeling that it might, but I can't predict that. I can't predict that.
See, this is the stuff I love, guys. I'm okay, let's see if the predictions are right. If they're wrong, they're wrong. We're going to keep doing these market updates too. We're going to throw in some market updates on different cities. So if you haven't subscribed to our channel, do it now. Hit the notification bell because we are going to be following this. We might not have all the answers now. We're going to see if these predictions play out.
All right, cool. So we're gonna kind of talk about the 4 top cities in Colorado. So we talked about Denver. Second largest city in Colorado is Colorado Springs, and the median sales price, I don't know why for some reason they hadn't updated the multifamily yet, but single family Colorado Springs, you got a median sales price of $465, and that's up 6.9% from 2021. Third largest city that we're going to be looking at in Colorado is Aurora, Colorado, and that actually median sales price as of September of 2022 is $530,000, and that is up 7% from 2021.
So that's single family. So multifamily is going to be through median sales price of $340,000, which is up 11.7%. So still a double digit there.
Yeah, we got a double digit. Actually, there's going to be a few. Well, I'm trying to think. We already covered 3. One more city has double digits, and we'll see whether that's in the multifam or single fam or maybe both. The 4th largest city in Colorado, obviously, is Fort Collins, the largest northern Colorado city that we have here in our great state. And so if you're looking at a median sales price as of September of 2022, it is $600,000, and that is up 9.7% since 2021.
But if you look at our
did I say single family? Yeah, I meant single.
Yeah, that's single family. But if you look at our multifamily, the median sales price is $405,000, and that's up 19.7%.
Still pretty crazy in Fort Collins.
Yeah.
You still got double digits, almost up into the 20% range. So it's crazy how many. And we're seeing this a lot, like Boulder. I think both of single family and multifamily, both of them were like up in the 30s year over year, 30% in equity gains. So we're still seeing some of those double digit gains. But like I said, I mean, seeing these interest rates and what they're going to do, you already said how they're projected to be 7-8% by the end of 2023. How much will that really soften our market? Will the jobs market keep holding out the way that it is right now? Will that continue to go down? Well, I don't know. We'll see what happens. And that kind of leads us into our 4th thing, kind of talking about the pros and cons about purchasing now as opposed to the super hot market that we had earlier in 2022, in the spring of 2022.
So houses, the same house. Let's talk about like one house. One house will go for it back in say spring or early summer.
Yep.
Would go for $50,000 to $100,000 over asking price. So you're getting that house for $50,000 more than you would have otherwise.
At a lower range, so lower interest rates, like a 4 to a 5, I think is what it was this summertime.
Right.
Yeah.
So $50,000 up on the purchase price with a lower interest rate. That's one scenario.
Yep.
The next scenario is kind of our market right now, which we're seeing $50,000 down. So asking price is typically, or maybe even $5,000 to $10,000 less asking price right now with a higher interest rate. Okay. Personally, I think I would rather have an option to refi than to get a house over. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, so that's the thing right now is the amount that you pay for the house, that's set in stone, right? You can't go back to the seller and be like, hey, what the hell? This house is worth less than it was when I purchased you from. I want a rebate on this. Right. Interest rates, we can look at that. We don't know what interest rate is going to do in the future. If you do have the opportunity after a couple of years to refi out, you got that house for a lot less than what you would have, say, earlier on in the spring or this summer because you were spending, $20, $30, $50,000 over the list price. And there are some times, too, where we are able to come in below, just depending on how stubborn that seller is, to be honest with you.
The other thing too is like when we're purchasing our houses, whether that be personally or investing, we are factoring in that interest rate, right? So we set the purchase price according to what the outcome is going to be with the purchase price plus your interest rate. Yeah. So for that ideal monthly, right? So we have control in that. Whereas, if you're looking later down the road and you have this, house that's not, we're going down in value, which heaven forbid we haven't seen that in a long time, but if that whole gaining the equity in your home is a really big deal. So to me, like gaining the equity, being able to factor in that interest rate and kind of what you're looking for in a house, putting those two things together. Maybe you wait a little longer to find the right house because we lower the purchase price and factor in the interest rate, but at least you know what your monthly is going to be, and that's typically what our buyers are looking at. Is like, this is where I feel comfortable, and we do have control over that with interest rates.
And so another huge pro that I'm kind of seeing in this market right now without the competition is, since it is so much more of a buyer's market, we are able to ask for some repairs that before we weren't able to at all. Before we were pretty much like saying, you know what, we're just going to purchase the house as is. We're only getting an inspection done to figure out whether or not we want to buy this house. And now we're getting roofs replaced, we're getting furnaces replaced, we're getting some good items done, to where before it was all on you just because you wanted to get into the house. You were just like, I don't give a crap, I'm just going to get into this house, that's all I want, just give me everything, all your problems. And so now we can come back and ask for a few of those problems.
So the other thing too is we're not comparing right now whether or not you're going to, be having a lower interest rate, because that's not what projections are showing us.
Yep.
So that, if you just take that off the table for now, unless you're planning on waiting, I don't even know how many years before we'd maybe see that start to really dramatically change. Now we're kind of leaning into that, what is that experience like? Am I buying during kind of this buyer's market some people say we're not in a buyer's market because it does have to do with inventory. However, as far as the feel and the experience of a buyer, take away all of what makes a buyer market versus a seller's market, we are seeing a much better experience for our buyers now than we ever have. And so that's kind of what we're looking at is, are you willing to wait and see what happens? And maybe, we do project that, hopefully, that we see the same trending that we do season over season.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think this spring is probably just going to be pretty similar to what we're seeing right now. Maybe a little bit hotter just because it's springtime.
Springtime, yeah.
We usually see it peak up, towards the end of spring, summertime, right around there. But we really can't project that. We don't know what's going to happen because of interest rates. I can say that I do love this market right now because we don't have that competition. Yeah. Interest rates can be refied down. Just know that, because I know there's so many people. I'm going to tell you right now, I probably, to every 10 people who tell me that they're waiting to buy a house because they're waiting for the market to crash, there's one that's right. Like, legit, that's what it is. Is most of the people that do that, it doesn't end up serving them because they're like, oh, I'm going to wait till this market does this. I'm going to wait till the houses go down in Colorado. And I just don't see it. There's so many people who move in here from other states who have higher taxes, more regulations. And they're like, I'm just going to move to Colorado and not have to deal with that crap anymore.
Okay, so that was our grand analysis of what we think is going to happen, whether or not you should wait or you should buy now. Now, we know we're real estate agents.
It's that real estate, what was it, ramble? I don't know.
Real estate,
yes,
like
someone came on and said that it's, real estate, whatever.
Real estate ramble.
Yeah.
Guys, we always get trolls. It's totally fine. We're fine with it. The people who follow us know that we're really real. We put our bloopers on here, for crying out loud. Stick around and see the bloopers on this guy. But we just air the laundry out. We don't ever, we always say that we don't have a crystal ball and all those things. So anyways, long story short, this is what we think is going to happen. We're going to keep following to tell you whether or not we're right or wrong, but that is kind of like our analysis of this. Okay, so if you have any other questions, feel free to comment down below. We try really hard to get to all of your comments in a timely manner.
All right, guys. Also, we're going to put that phone number in below one more time right there. Give us a call, give us a text if you're looking at purchasing real estate in the state of Colorado. And until next time, we love you. Bye.
Bye.
Give us a call, give us a ring, give us a text. Doesn't matter. Just give us a ring and we will get back.
We'll get right back to you after the beep. Beep.
And along those lines, licensed real estate agent. Real estate. And right now there's like this, there's this,
Perception.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Good and bad. And we will feel for... Oh my God. Words are hard today.